In this part of the compass, we're going to be diving deep into the core values. What is the core value of a brand? The core value is a few core standards that defines what an organization really stands for. And I've got a few examples for you because I know that probably seems a little vague. So here is Zappos. They call it their family core values. You can see that they have really anything from humility and being humble to a statement like be adventurous, creative, and open-minded. Now, Amazon, they call their core values their leadership principles. And you can see that they have anything, again, from ownership to vocally self-critical. Basically, what the core values are a few essential things that really create the inner part of who your company is and what that company stands for. So why are the core values even important? People want brands that value the same things that they do, and defining them will make it really clear on what things in your client's marketing and experience and messaging to focus on. It can sometimes feel like if you don't have a list of core values on your client's perspective, it's going to feel like they don't know, okay, what are the things that they should really focus on with selling things? Because there's so many amazing aspects of who they are. They need to know what are the things that are key to us. How do we actually do that? How do we create the core values? I know it can kind of seem a little intimidating to create the core of who somebody really is, but I promise because you've done the strategy session, it's going to be a lot easier than you initially think it's going to be. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually go back to the strategy session and you're going to go through and you're going to look through all the highlighted areas. And anything that sticks out to you, you're going to write down and you're going to note. When you're coming up with core values, you're really not coming up with anything new, and you do not want to come up with anything new. You don't want to come up with something that's not already a part of the company culture, because if you don't put something that in the core values that's not part of what they're already doing, then it's going to seem really inauthentic. It's probably not something that's going to stick around for a long time, and it's going to be something that's so ever changing. So make sure it's something that's already there. So that takes a lot of pressure off of you, right? The only new thing that you're really doing is you're coming up with a new way of saying it or renewing that focus. Because sometimes my clients will be like, oh yeah, I think that connection and people are really important. But then during the strategy session, we really dive deeper and we're like, you know what? Connection to people, it really is the connection with family, and we can get even more specific on that focus. Now you can see that with Amazon and Zappos, they have like a list of 15 different core values. I personally like to keep it to 3 to 6 values, usually 4. And I like to keep it as simple as possible because the more simple that you can keep it, the easier it is for your client to keep it. It needs to be something that's really memorable. If your client can't even tell you what their core values are, then it's probably not simple enough. So keep it to 3 to 6. Now, as you're going through the strategy session and you're looking for those highlighted fields and things to pull out and to focus on, here's a few things that you can look for. Look for patterns in the highlighted portions of the strategy session deck. Is there anything that you can group together into one overarching value? I gave you that example where one of my clients thought she wanted to focus on both people and connection, and we were able to pull those two together and renew her focus and put it all into family. Is there anything that you can group together just like that? Is there anything that is totally essential to how the business runs and feels? If there's something that you're like, if we didn't have this one key thing, humility or fast turnaround time or a light and airy aesthetic, whatever it is, then you know that that business would be totally different. Is there something that makes the experience and product unique from others? You want to make sure that these core values are not the same core values that anybody else could use. So if there's something that you're like, this is something huge in differentiating you from others, and it's something that you own, you rock at, and that is, again, important to you, but is super great at differentiating you, then include it into the core values. Now, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to test your core values. Now, I got these questions from scottjeffrey.com, but these are some great questions, and I've added a few of my own that you can ask to test your core values. Will each value help your client's company make a decision, especially the difficult ones? Are they going to know what marketing decisions to make, what hiring decisions to make, what they should post for that day on Instagram, all those types of things? Are your core values memorable? I talked about this a little bit, but will every team member be able to encode them into your minds? Because as the CEO, they might be able to remember them super well, but are they simple enough that an employee would be able to remember them really well? Will you be willing to uphold these values 50 years from now? I'm not saying that every business you have to brand is going to be up and running for 50 years. Hopefully they will, and we want them to. But they need to be simple and core enough that they're going to be able to be around for a long time. Are your values congruent with your behavior when you're at your best? Are these values BS tested? Will an employee be able to observe hypocrisy? So basically that's saying, like, are these really what you guys are doing? Kind of what I was talking about when you need to choose core values that are things that your client's company are already doing, because it's not going to seem authentic. If you choose a value that is not congruent with the behavior, not something that they're going to do, employee, it's just not going to come off right. Nobody's going to believe you. And it's going to affect a lot of different areas in your client's business. Can your client's organization uphold these values in stressful and difficult situations, such as increased competition, product recalls, market turbulence, or downsizing? Are you willing to defend these values unequivocally? That is, does each value permeate through the organization? So you need to look at your client's company and you need to think, does this match literally every single level of the experience or product? And does it just bleed into everything that they do? If an observer were to read through the core values, would they know whether or not it was the company they would want to work with? The lucky part is that you are a third-party observer, so you get to check this one off really easy. Is it open enough that it leaves a room for future expansion? I have a lot of companies and clients who want to add products or services in a few years, and so you need to make sure that your client's core values aren't so specific where if they were to add product, an employee, or something, it would still stay true to that. Is it clear enough that somebody would clearly be actionable with the core values? So you want to have someone be able to look at the core values and they're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's important and what things to hit on in this blog post or things to hit on when I'm creating the website. It needs to be something that's really tangible.